Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a T67. It's a Tier 5 American turreted tank destroyer. It's located on the southwest spawn of Karelia, and this one is under the command of sunshinebilly. Now he's armed with a 76mm gun. He's capable of doing 115 alpha and penetrating 108mm of armor. I think it was with standard. 128mm, sorry. With the premium rounds, it'll go through 177mm. He's landed in a Tier 5 game with Tier 4 tanks in it. Now, as many of you know, this is the precursor to the M18 Hellcat. It's one of the tank designs they went through before they finally got to the Hellcat. And it's actually been very successful in the game. Many people actually played the T67, and it's great fun at Tier 5. It's probably one of the lowest tiers that you can actually play and have a reasonable chance of either getting a pulse medal or getting serious damage on the enemy. I've seen some players of the T67 do incredibly well, dominate the battlefield, and it's got a fearsome reputation, mainly down to its speed, which is of course 61 kilometers an hour, and that gun which fires so rapidly. And you notice how accurate it is. Well, it's not always this accurate, but in the right hands it's very good. He actually hit the tracks there of that M5, and the guy went down eventually. So it's the damage he did. It was only 239 hit points, but yeah, that stripped away that hit points from that Stuart, and he's out the game now. Now, the standard reload time is 3.07 seconds. You can see here the reload time 2.7. And remember, that penetration value, 128, means that it will go through most of the enemy you come up against. That Tier 4 B1 didn't like it. He got pinned, and yeah, he pulled back into cover quickly. Now, as I said, it does tend to relocate rather quickly, 61 kilometers an hour. It doesn't have much in the way of armor. It's only 12.7mm on the hull and 25.4 on the front of the turret. So virtually no armor whatsoever, but that's the same with the M18 Hellcat. There's no armor on that thing either. It's just basically a very fast gun. Oh, you see the B1 try to come out again. He does get hit, but he doesn't lose any hit points until that shot. He got a high roll there for 120. It is a very effective tank, and it would have been interesting if they'd actually built this one in preference to the M18, but it would have actually been quite tall if you think about it, compared to the M18's very squat and wide, which of course, being squat and wide meant that it was stable, and it was the fastest tank destroyer in the Second World War. In fact, it was the fastest tracked vehicle in World War II. Well, 4 each at the moment, and the enemy does have position on the horseshoe at the moment, so we can't get our guys up there. But even the enemy can't make it down this way, the South Passage. They kind of discouraged from doing so, because if they do, sunshinebilly will put rounds into them. There are bots in this game, as there are on a lot of games on the Australia-New Zealand server. It's unfortunately down to the fact that they don't have enough players most times, so they have to make it up with bots, otherwise they just wouldn't be able to get a game at all. It's not only the... oh, you see how accurate that one was. It's not only on the Australian-New Zealand server, though, that they do get bots, because, of course, you know, the South American server, it's the same thing. They just don't get enough players at some times of the day, and so they can't run the games. But at some tiers, you do get enough players to play, and therefore it can get a good game. He's put a rather cheeky sticker on the back of his vehicle there saying, "Aim here." I think he's like tempting the enemy Arty to have a go at him. In this game, the enemy Arty's a bishop, so he's going to have to get close to the enemy Arty before the enemy Arty can have a go at him. In fact, it looks like the enemy Arty is nearby, because we just saw a shell arc through the air And that seems to be the Bishop. So I think he's at the other end of this this part of the map. Now an M4A1's managed to make his way down, and we've lost all the guys who were trying to get into the horseshoe. And yep, Sunshine Billy's taken the correct decision to abandon this position. If he can get up onto the heights, he might be able to get shots onto that M4A1. The B1 on our team, he's a bot, and he's actually now getting attacked. So can he get shots here? I think he can. Well, yes, there's the M4A1. One shell straight through the front of the vehicle, tracks him. Second shell goes through. Misses with that one. There's a bit of dispersion in the T67 shell, and that one ricocheted off the front. He's already up to 1,200 hit points of damage. And remember, it's only a tier 5 game. Okay, he's got a shot there at a Keyho. Was it? I think it is a Keyho. Okay, the VK3001H is now being damaged. A couple of shells didn't hit where he wanted them to go. That one hit the tracks. And again, he's hit the tracks of the M4A1. You don't get a lot of ammunition in this tank. It's 70 rounds. But that is enough to do the job. Used to be a lot less rounds, and you'd actually run out of ammo quite frequently in battles. One of the members of What Arty Noobs, or founding member of What Arty Noobs, I Need Coffee Dude, who started this group up with me back in 2016. He used to play the T67 quite a lot, and if you recall, there is a video on the channel where a T67 actually manages to kill 2 enemy tanks without any ammo whatsoever. He actually ram kills them to death, sideswipes them, and takes them out that way. Unfortunately, the last enemy tank that he went for managed to kill him before he could get a shot off, or before he could get close enough. Well, he's killed a Keyho, Sunshine Billy, and he's now changing position because the B1 could see him and was putting rounds into him. It was only one round from the B1, a 47mm round if I remember correctly, but it was enough to do some damage. Our B1's moved out now to try and get some shots on the enemy B1. Oh, just missed. Shell velocity is not great, 750, but you can see you can penetrate that M8A1, the Scott. That's a bot, by the way. The VK3001H is actually a real player, but we lost sight of him. And that tree just got knocked down by the M8A1, I think, so fire at the tree. He's going to wait until something comes into view. He doesn't want to waste his shells. He's only got 12 rounds of AP left and 2 rounds of HG. And there's still a lot of enemy tanks out there. And we're capping at the other end. There's the M8A1. Looks like he's got the dirt gun. And there's another kill. Yeah, the B1 is trying to hit him, so he has to change position and managed to dodge that shell. The Bishop behind the rock, using the rock to shoot over in safety. He managed to get the spotting of that one. That was from the Bishop, I think, as well. Oh, enemy Arty knows where he is. I don't think the enemy Arty knows where our Bishop is just yet. But if he looked to this and fired in this direction, he might see our Bishop's shell tracer. We're still capping, and it looks like the enemy's going to lose this game by us capping out. Or our resets going on at the other end. It does look as if there are resets going on because the counter keeps going back, even though there's still 2 people in the cap at any one time. It's one of their tank destroyers that's doing it. It's the Marder 38T. And given the small number of the enemy tanks, they've only got 3 left now. Sunshine Billy's decided he's going to shoot up this side of the map. He's got 8 rounds of AP, 2 rounds of HE. He should be able to take out the P2640 fairly quickly with HE rounds if he used them, but he's not loaded them yet. Still AP. There's the VK. Okay, auto aimed on, puts 1 round in. 2, tracks him, come up close. And yeah, it's easy to take him out now because he's got him tracked. He won't move. And 1 more to kill. And we capped out. Well, that ended prematurely. I think he could have carried on. Would have been able to get the kill on the VK3001H. But what you didn't see, because I wasn't showing it in the camera, but it did show the minimap, was that the P2640 on the enemy team was coming up behind Sunshine Billy with intent to take him out of the game. And Sunshine Billy wasn't paying attention because I think he was tunnel visioned on the VK3001H, but he also knew that the game was over because they had already capped out. Sunshine Billy managed to get a first-class tanker out of that game. Very well done. He also got a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle and a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he ended up with 12 on that one. And he also got the high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game, and his win rate from that one was 10,410, which is super Unicum standard and quite a bit more. Let's have a look at team score. Well, we can see he got the highest damage in the game easily with 3,132 hit points. The second highest damage was that Marder 38T, who got 1,442. And the third highest damage went to the P2640 at 1,085. When it came to kills, the highest scorer was Sunshine Billy with 3. Virtually, 6 people managed to get 2 kills apiece. That was the Panzer via Hydrostat, the Bishop, and the Matilda on his own team. Matilda managed to pick up a Leather Slaves medal, and the other Matilda got an Invader. He was one of the ones that was capping out. Meanwhile, on the enemy team, their Marder 38T got 2 kills, the P2640 and the VK3001H. When it came to base XP, yep, he's got that one as well because he got 1,103 base experience points. The next highest being the Panzer via Hydrostat, who only managed 602. So very well underperforming the Panzer via, which actually is a premium medium, which is capable of doing quite good feats, but it's actually on the collector's tab now. 305 for the Bishop, so he was doing well, just didn't get a lot of damage, but did get a couple of kills. We look at detail, we can see that Sunshine Billy fired 64 rounds in that game, 42 direct hits on the enemy, and 29 penetrations. That 76mm gun does have decent pen and a fast fire rate, which makes it fun to play. 3,132 hit points of damage, of which 2,409 were at more than 300 meters. So he was actually defying the standard norm that this thing has fairly poor dispersion. It does when it's brand new, but once you get the hang of it and you've actually got a lot of games under your belt, the dispersion gets much better. And with that fast fire rate, you can do a hell of a lot of damage to the enemy fairly quickly. 3 hits received from the enemy. 3 of them were penetrations and 1 hit by way of splash. That was from the enemy Bishop, who managed to land a round near him to damage him, but didn't spot his own opposite number. The 3 penetrations were coming from the B1, who was actually firing his 47mm gun, and of course it didn't do a lot of damage because that is very low caliber, that gun. He damaged 9 of the enemy, killed 3. Actually came very close to getting, doing very nicely and picking up some more kills. He did 140 hit points of damage assistance and 45,402 credits on a premium account. But after ammunition resupply, he actually came away with a loss of 34,556 credits. Now, it is very, very easy to come away with a loss of, 558. I got that wrong. It's very easy to come away with a loss with this tank because you can blast away your ammunition, especially if you're using premium rounds. So, yes, do be aware of that. If you can, play with standard rounds on this one, and that way you end up with a nice little profit at the end. But Sunshine Billy did get 25 bonds out of it for an achievement, And 1,654 XP times 2 for the first victory, 3,309 experience points altogether. So that's a very good round with the T67. As I said, he possibly would have come away with more wins, because I'm pretty sure he would have got the kill on the VK3001H if it only lasted a fraction of a second longer, because he already had a round lined up and the VK was down to a one-shot, and it would have been no problem shooting a round right into his rear. The problem would have been that P2640 who was coming up behind him, because, yes, he was intent on taking Sunshine Billy out of the game. And the thing about this turret is that it doesn't traverse very well. So ideally, you want to run up behind an enemy tank, having your turret facing the correct direction straight away, and just keep blasting away to pump those rounds into the enemy tank. If the P2640 had got behind him, then it would have taken Sunshine Billy a few seconds to turn his vehicle around so he could get the gun to bear and then to fight back. And he was also running out of ammo as well. As you saw, towards the end of that game, he only had 2 rounds of HE left. And in fact, actually, I think it shows the number of shells he fired was 64. And this thing, as I said, only carries 70, which means he had 6 rounds left at the end of the game, and 2 of those are HE. So he only had 4 rounds of armor piercing. 1 of those would have dealt with the VK, and he would have had to have used the other 3 and the HE rounds to take out the P2640. Yes, so probably the game did end at the right moment for him to stay alive. So there you have it. That was a good game. Let's have a quick look at the armor. Okay, it's very thin armor. I did say that during the game. 12.7 millimeters at the front, effectively 12.7. Turret, well, the only strong armor is the bit around the mantlet, which is 25.4, coming out at 25.4. The sides, the same, 12.7, 12.7. Engine deck is only 7.9. Anything that touches this will go through. A tier 1 tank could take on a T67 and puncture it and penetrate it. So it is very weak, but it is very fast. And that's the reason it's fast, is because it doesn't have much in the way of armor. If you show the live model, you can see, yeah, green. Anything that touches this goes through. If we go to the modules. Okay, that's nice. Okay, we've got driver up front on the right-hand side, the radio operator on the left-hand side, gunner's mate. Directly behind them, they're basically sitting on one enormous ammo rack on the floor of the vehicle. We've got the gunner standing up on the right-hand, or the TC standing up on the right-hand side, rather, and the gunner is on the other side of on this one. Normally it's the other way around. And the loader at the back shoveling the shells into the breech, and there's shells along the shoulders of the vehicle there. And after the shoulders end, you've got the fuel tanks with the engine and transmission, the rear transmission with the engine in there. So the fuel tanks are actually fairly vulnerable. They're in the rear of the vehicle at the top, so you can puncture that. But I think most people, if they're aiming at one of these, the shells will actually hit the engine rather than actually hit the shoulders and the fuel tanks. And I don't, unless they aim directly auto-aim onto the turret, then they might hit the ammo rack that way, because, as I said, it's in the shoulders. And if you're aiming for the center mass of the vehicle, it's around about there. You'll either get the tank commander or you'll get the ammo rack. So there you have it. That's the T67 modules. I hope you enjoyed that replay. It was a nice quick replay in the T67. It shows he's still got it. It's a fun tank to play. I'd say if you want to play any tier 5, the T67 is, if you get good in this, you can literally dominate the battlefield. And I've seen loads of replays from I Need Coffee Dude where he's scored pools medals galore in this thing. So yep, this is a good tank to have just a bit of fun on a battlefield and come off with some medals. If you enjoyed this replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.